Remember when we were told that casual sex was illegal in Britain? Remember when we were told that we couldn't hug our grandparents? Remember when we were told that we couldn't go to funerals except if we could attend them via Zoom call? Remember when people had to postpone their weddings for like an entire year? Remember when people had to do Zoom birthday parties? Remember when we were told that we could have a Christmas bubble and then they U-turned up by saying we couldn't have a Christmas bubble as people were just about to visit their families or were half down, halfway down to see their families on the flipping motorway? Remember when we were given all these rules, including don't leave your house except to have a jog or go to the supermarket and self-isolate if you might have any symptoms, but you couldn't leave the country, you couldn't go to work, you had to stay home, and if your work did not require you to work remotely, if you couldn't work remotely, then you would just be put on furlough, if not lose your job entirely. Remember when you were, well, not maybe not everyone, but remember when some of us were unable to pay bills because we couldn't work full time because the furlough pay was not enough? Now, imagine the guy that created a lot of these rules, including the no hooking up with people you're not married to rule. Imagine that guy not only cheating on his wife with somebody else's wife, but also doing it non-virtually, physically, touching each other, kissing each other, hooking up with each other, sleeping with each other, and then telling the entire country that they shouldn't go and see their partners, they shouldn't go and see their parents or grandparents or kids if they live far away. The same guy that would mock other people for visiting their loved ones. He was doing it himself. The health secretary, ladies and gentlemen. The same man that last November it was found out that he had spent up to around 47,000 British pounds sterling on about 9 takeaways from a Filipino-styled restaurant in London. Now, I don't know about you, what anyone's going to be spending 50K's worth of takeaways for, but clearly that must be some really interesting food, or maybe they must have ordered something else outside the menu for it to be worth that much money. Taxpayers' money, by the way. The same man that siphoned off, that took away, that funneled billions of pounds of taxpayers' money, and he gave them to his cronies via shell corporations under the guise of PPE contracts, including one company that was granted a £278 million contract under the guise of PPE 3 weeks after that company had been created, or at least listed on Companies House. 3 weeks after it was listed on Companies House, it was given that grant. The same man. How many times must our country follow the rules of the very people that are not only willing to break the same rules that they create, but to laugh at us as they do so? The same people that if we were to break the rules that they create, we would go to prison, or we would be fined, or we would be otherwise punished. But if they do it, the Prime Minister will turn around and say, well, we forgive you, keep hustling out there, keep doing your job. It had to take Matt Hancock himself to resign for what? Breaking social distancing rules? The hypocrisy is it is unprecedented. Dominic Cummings, when he drove over 200 miles to, I don't know, see the dentist, see family, whatever the hell the excuse was, he wasn't fired for that. Boris Johnson backed him. And then Dominic Cummings left because of something else. Maybe because he fell out with Boris's then girlfriend, now wife. Who cares? I don't care what the reason is. But it took far too long for Dominic Cummings to actually leave his position after that so-called crime of driving more than 200 miles. Because it was a crime, because it would have been a crime if I had done it, or if you watching at home had done it. And now Matt Hancock out here with all this nonsense, all these lockdowns, all the times where people couldn't visit family or friends except via Zoom or via Skype or Microsoft Teams, whatever the hell. All them millions of children that were struggling to be educated at home because they didn't have a laptop, or they didn't have Wi-Fi or internet connection, but they had to find a way where teachers would have to maybe pay for their students to get laptops, whatever it took. This man was out here spending billions of pounds on PPE contracts for his friends. This man was out here spending tens of thousands of pounds on takeaways. This man was probably spending an untold amount of money on dates with his mistress on taxpayers' money. How much longer do we have to settle for this nonsense? One rule for us and one rule for them. How much longer? Now, we like to distract ourselves with positive things happening in our lives and negative things happening, like, oh, Bill Cosby gets out of prison. Britney is basically kidnapped by her dad, and the judge says that she should stay with him. Britney Spears. England beating Germany in the Euro Cup. It's coming home. All this stuff that we look to distract us from the very fact that we are not living in a democracy. We're living in a dictatorship. We are following the rules that they create and then they break 5 minutes later. But if they break them, it's fine. Nothing happens. If we break them, it's prison. It's jail time. It's a fine or something worse. This isn't a democracy. This is a dictatorship. It's a plutocracy. If you're rich and powerful and/or in government, look at all these billionaires. They never pay 1 penny in tax because they know how to dive through the right loopholes. They hire agencies and accounting firms and specialists to help them minimize their tax obligations. But if you miss one rent payment, if you miss one tax payment as a self-employed person, you will have to deal with real life repercussions. But not if you're a billionaire. No. Not if you're a $1 billion corporation that could pay that money. When politicians break the rules, expenses scandal, PPE scandal, what Matt Hancock has been doing this week and last week and the week before and the week before and the week before and the week before, it's fine. Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, will tell them, it's okay, here's a pat on the back. We all make mistakes, keep going. But if we break those rules, that doesn't happen for us. If you're rich, if you're powerful, you win. The rules don't apply to you. But if you're not rich, if you're not powerful, you get treated like that. That's not a democracy. That's a plutocracy. That's a dictatorship. Think about that.